Jay. Go cover your cake boards. This is going beyond an emotional response as to why you should cover your cake boards, right? In case anybody is new to this Periscope or Periscope in general, I'm Liz Merrick. I'm the owner of Artisan Cake Company. I've been cake decorating for almost 8 years. I've written a book. I have an online cake decorating tutorial site. I used to make cakes for a living as a cake decorator out of my home, and now I teach full time. So I'm not inexperienced in this matter. I should also mention that when I started cake decorating, I had $76 in my bank account, and I quit my job without telling my husband, not because I wanted to, but because I was very stressed out, whatever. It was a health reason. So I quit my job and I had zero money. So I'm not talking about, I hear you when people say I can't afford to cover my cake boards or it's too expensive. And the reason why I feel so frustrated is because I know for a fact that it is not. It is not expensive to cover your cake boards. If it was expensive, I wouldn't have been doing it because I needed every penny in the beginning. I mean, we still do. I needed every single penny I could get, but I also needed my cakes to portray a high-end, high-quality look because I was trying to bring in higher-end customers. So to me, that's a very simple concept. The better your cakes look, the more higher end customers you are going to get and the more money that you're going to make. In the beginning of cake decorating, you don't make any money, right? You don't make any money because you spend it on cake pans, you spend it on tools, you spend it on mistakes, not knowing how to charge. Like, that's how things go in the beginning. But I say after a year or two, you should have your tools, you should have your pans, you should have your, basic stuff that you need to use on a day-to-day basis, and then you can start making money. So when we're talking about $5 for a cake board, yes, that is a lot of money for a cake board. But what I'm saying is when you're a beginner and you're trying to differentiate yourself between the person down the street who's undercutting you for, $20, how do you make yourself stand out? How do you make yourself look better than the bakery over at Walmart? I've been sort of mulling over the different excuses that people have told me. The customers don't care about whether or not you use a cake board. Your customers don't have any damn taste. You know what I'm saying? Like, your customers don't know anything about a cake board. If your customer looked at your buttercream cake and it was sitting on a silver board and the other one was sitting on a cardboard and it was the same cake, they would say, I don't like this cake, but they probably could not tell you why. They could just say, well, it just doesn't look as clean, or it doesn't look as professional, or it looks cheap, right? Because they don't know that it's the cake board. All they see is an overall look, and they're just like, I don't know, I just don't like that cake board. Because I'm telling you, I used to work in a Safeway bakery. All of the cakes were frozen. We took them out of a box and we stuck them on top of a silver cardboard round. It looked a lot like this, but it was silver on the top, and you can buy those, and you just slap the cake on top. So that's what people are used to seeing, and people will argue that that's what customers are used to. That's what customers are used to when they work or when they're at Safeway or Tesco or whatever your grocery store name is. They see buttercream cake on a silver board equals $30. So when you say buttercream cake on a silver board and you want to charge $100, they're like, that's way too expensive. I'm not going to pay $100 for a buttercream cake on a cake board. And then you complain and say, why don't these customers understand the heart and soul and the artisticness that goes into this cake? When will they learn? It's not the customers, guys. It's you. And I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not trying to put you down because you're using a foil board. I would never do that. I would never put you down. I get where you're coming from because I have literal pictures on my Flickr of my very first cakes sitting on a cake board covered in tin foil. Tin foil, because I didn't know any better. So first of all, let's get the butt hurtness out of the way, right? So when you have a piece of tin foil and you put it over a cake board, which a lot of newbies do, right? Move this out of the way. They usually just cover it and then they'll tape the bottom, right? So when somebody says in Cake Noobs, I saw a cake board covered in tin foil and it just killed me. This is what they're talking about. They're not talking about this. They're not talking about that. They're talking about this. And if you can tell me in your heart of hearts that this looks like a professional cake board, I'm gonna come through this phone and slap you in your face because this does not look professional. I mean, if you're making this for your mom or your brother or your sister or your dog or whoever doesn't care and you're not trying to sell it and you're not trying to like make money, fine, put it on a damn foil covered board. But my question is, why not just put it on a plate? Why even bother with the foil? Because this does not look good. This is not a good accent for anything, I think the only thing worse than this is seeing it on a cookie sheet, right? But hey, you know, not everybody is looking to sell cakes. What I'm telling you is if this is for a business and you're trying to get business, don't do this. This screams to everybody who sees this, I don't know what I'm doing. This says I'm a beginner and I have literally no idea what the standard is for cakes. This cake will not get pinned. This cake will not be in a magazine. This cake will not be liked by your cake friends because they are embarrassed for you and don't want to say anything, you know? And you might say, well, I don't care. It's the cake taste that matters. You need to stop that. That's just shooting yourself in the foot. You want to be arrogant and say why you can't improve yourself? Well, then that's on you. But don't go around spreading that arrogance to other people, okay? Because that's not how it is. All right. So away with the cake board. No tin foil, okay? The other thing that a lot of people said, there was a thread, in case you didn't know, on Noobs, that was should or shouldn't cover your cake boards. And one of them was that it's an extra $5 to cover your cake board. And I thought that was crazy. I was like, that's ridiculous. Why would it be $5 to cover your cake board? You know, like I definitely know for a fact it's not $5. But then I was like, well, maybe it is $5. Let me do the math, right? So I went to Joann's, where I went to when I very first started cake decorating, and I didn't know where to buy cake supplies and stuff. Maybe I'm making one cake a week. Where's that $5 coming from? So these foil covered boards, you can get this from Joann's or Michael's or whatever. Comes in a 2-pack, $8.99 for 2. That's $4.50 for one of these boards. $5 makes sense. If you go onto Global Sugar Art, you can get a masonite board that's nice and sturdy and thick. For a 12-inch, it's $4.99. $5 makes sense. I see where people are getting the $5. This Wilton board. Have you guys ever used one of these for a cake board? It's got the little feet on it. This is what I used to use where I just take like a simple cake and put it on top. You don't have to cover it. You don't have to put buttercream on it. This is $5.99 for one of these. Now I'm not using any coupons for this. So obviously you could get these for cheaper if you used your coupons, but this is besides the point, right? Yeah, you're not gonna get this back. These are all $5 options here. There's also this, which is complete bull crap. This is like a pre-made, ready to make cardboard thing that has this edge on it, and it makes me want to makes my eyes hurt because they're trying to pretend like this is like a step up. This is not a cake board, guys. This is a cake cardboard with paint on it. And if you put your cake on this, you know what's going to happen? That's what's going to happen to your cake. This is not a cake board. This is a piece of crap with plastic on it. If you, like I said, are a mom or a brother or a sister or whatever, and you're making your cakes and you're putting it on this and you're serving it to your kid for your first birthday party and you're not a professional, then buy this. I don't give a crap. Like, go ahead and buy this. But this is not a professional cake board. You gotta know the difference between a professional and a not professional, right? Yes, this is Wilton. $1.93. This is not worth $1.93, seriously, to be honest. Okay. These are all things I've done, by the way. So, you know, it is like, I get it. I get that you don't know any better. That's in your mind, $5 down the drain. And if I'm only charging $50 for my cake and the board costs $5, then that's $55. And that could make or break me selling this cake. So I get that logic. My question is, why are you spending $5 on your cake board for a $50 cake? Don't do that. Don't do that, okay? So let's talk about some ways that you can not spend $5, and it doesn't take a ton of time. It certainly takes you less time than it would to make up the extra $5, I guess. You can get these lovely circles on Amazon. If you search for, I think it's pizza cardboards or pizza rounds. I get them at Cash and Carry, but not everybody has a Cash and Carry. But you know what? Everybody has the damn internet. If you're on Periscope, you're watching, you have the internet, so you know. You can go onto Amazon and buy a package of cake boards. They might be called pizza rounds. It's the same thing. For $32 for a pack of the 12 inches. Now granted, yes, you have to buy a different size box for every size cake, which I have. I have 6-inch, 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch. It's different prices for all of them, but there's 100 in each one. So if you have 100 cake boards at $32, this, my friend, is 32 cents each for one of these cake boards. But Liz, you just said we're not supposed to use the cardboard rounds. These are pieces of crap. What's the difference between this and Wilton? Okay, we're just at step one. We're just at step one here, okay? The first step is getting the price to a reasonable cost amount. Using the Wilton board at $1.32 is not cost effective, but one cake board at 32 cents, I can work with that. So you take 2 of our lovely cake boards. And now granted, I'm going to go kind of fast. Obviously, you're going to spend a lot more time on this. And make it look real nice. But you're just going to glue these 2 together. You could even glue 3 of these together. So we've got that together. So now we have ourselves something that's going to hold something. I'm not going to, bend this. Yeah, you can definitely use 3. It depends on how thick your ribbon is. Okay, so where is my ribbon? So what we're talking about right now is like a cheap cake. Like this is for like a $50 cake or a $100. I shouldn't actually be charging $50 or $100 for a cake, but whatever. We're talking about beginners. We're just, giving you the benefit of the doubt. I would not be doing this for a wedding cake, to be honest. This is just for my everyday cakes that, whatever. So gluing these 2 together, that took me what, a second? And then I'm going to take a ribbon. I actually like to do this on the table. I'm just going to put a dot of glue, like every, 6 inches or something. If you do this on the table, it helps you, keep things straight. And you're right, Jay, labor does count. But this is generated towards people who are only making maybe 1 or 2 cakes a week. So you got 5 minutes to spare. You got 5 minutes to spare to make a cake board that's going to save you $5, okay? Can we all agree on that? All right, cut that. myself a clean edge. Yeah? And then what I also usually do, which apparently I'm the only person on the face of the planet who does this, and everybody thinks it's weird, I always put feet on my boards. I have some cheap dollar store foam core here. So this makes it so that I can put my fingers underneath this so I'm not like messing up my cake board every time I want to pick it up. And then obviously I could cover this in fondant, I could cover it in paper, I could cover it in wrapping paper, or you could do royal icing and texture it, and sometimes I do like a board with shredded coconut around it to look like grass. Yes, contact paper, which I have, sprinkles, that's all good options, right? So that took me just like less than 5 minutes to do this, right? Another thing that somebody said, somebody in the thread said that they buy this foil and it costs them, I think it costs $9. This costs $9, and they said that they could do an upwards of 10 cakes for $9. So that means it's $1 per sheet to cover a board with this foil. And then they said that fondant, a box of Wilton, cost $20. And that was supposed to be some sort of logical remark, like an argument, that a box of fondant can't cover as much as one of these rolls of foil. I don't understand that. A 5-pound box costs $20, right? I don't use, Wilton fondant in the first place. I use LMF, of course, but we're just, for the benefit of the doubt, the most expensive thing. A $20 box of fondant, which costs 5 pounds, can't possibly cover as many cake boards as a $10, $9 roll of gold foil. So, let's just see. Let's say that I already covered my cake in fondant, and you always have leftover fondant, right? You always have leftover fondant. I don't know anybody that could cover a cake and doesn't have at least a scrap left over. So we've got our scrap piece of fondant. So all this fondant is going to do is cover the board. It's not going to be eaten. It doesn't need to be tasting good. It doesn't need to do anything but seriously cover the outside 2 inches of a board, right? So I'm going to take this board, and I believe that Jay uses piping gel, but I use shortening. That's just what I always have used. And I just rub it on there. Somebody asked if you do the ribbon first or the fondant first. I actually do the fondant first. I just, got confused while I was talking to you all. So I'm gonna put this fondant over here. But Liz, that's so much fondant. I can't afford to waste that much fondant. You just wait. Just you wait. So you roll out the fondant, the rolling pin. What size cake is gonna go on this baby? All right, let's do this. Take this, center it, and I'm just gonna make a couple little marks so I know about where the cake is. You could use like a cake pan or a cake dummy. And then I'm going to cut out the center. I mean, you could make this the exact size of the cake, but I think that's a waste of time, and that takes too much time. I'm gonna go around. So now I've I would obviously sit here and kind of like fuss with the edges, make sure that they're lining up with the ribbon perfectly, but you get the point. So this is my covered cake board, and so when I put the cake on top, oh, I can't even see the hole that I cut out in there, right? Boom. Looks like a beautiful covered cake board, right? So let's see how much this weighs. This very expensive piece of scrap fondant that we weren't going to use anyway. Let's just see. This is 5 ounces. 5 ounces of fondant on a 12-inch board. 5 ounces. And a box of fondant is 5 pounds, right? So let's do the math here. So 16 ounces is in 1 pound. So let's say you can get 3 out of every 1 pound. So it's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you can cover 15 cake boards, or 16, somewhere in there. 16 cake boards with 1 box of Wilton fondant, which costs $20. So $20 divided by 16 equals $1.25 per cake board for a piece of fondant. That's if you're using Wilton fondant that is full price. You can use a 40% off coupon to get that cut in half. Or you could make LMF, which is 5 pounds of fondant, for about $6. So if you did LMF, which is $6 divided by 15, that's 4 cents, dude. 4 cents. That is not $5. Now granted, we have to add in the cost of these lovely cake boards here, which are 64 cents to do this. And the ribbon, I don't know, let's say it's $1. Just for the sake of it, we'll say it's $1. So we have $1.70 for this cake board. Plus, you know, time, which 5 minutes, a lot of time. Need that 5 minutes. Why shouldn't you cover your cake board? Why not just use this right here? Yeah? Because this, if you are a one-off cake decorator, which means you work from your home or you have a cottage lot or whatever, then you're making 1 or 2 cakes a month or a week or whatever, $5 is a lot to spend on 1 cake board. And to be honest, this is a time-saving cake board. They make white ones, they make all kinds of different colors, right? This is a time-saving board. If you are working out of your home, you got nothing but time, baby. You've got time to spend 5 minutes on making a professional-looking cake board that's going to differentiate you from the bakery down the street. If you work at Mike McCary's, who doesn't cover his cake boards, or some other huge bakery where you're pumping out wedding cakes like 5 million times a month or whatever, then it might be worth it for you to A, buy your fondant, not make it, to B, buy your cake drums pre-made. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with a cake drum, aside from the fact that I just don't particularly think that it matches most cakes that I make, right? So like, if I put my cake here on this silver board, I don't think this matches. I don't think this goes together. I mean, this is okay looking. It's not the ugliest thing I've ever seen, I guess, but it doesn't go with this. Now, if this was let's say, Faye Kyle's wedding cake with the foil, center tier, and it looks like it's a wedding cake and it's kind of, more traditional, it might match. It might look okay, right? But this does not match. And there's a lot of cakes, you have to admit, there are a lot of cakes that you make that are not wedding cakes that just don't that just don't match, right? Foil doesn't go with it. Like, I love gold, but it just doesn't go with everything, right? So there's other things you can do. You can use foam core. This is a piece of foam core. This is a 1/4 inch. I would not put a big heavy wedding cake on a foam core board. To be honest, I buy wooden boards. I buy masonite boards that look like this, and they cost about $10 for like a 14 inch. This is a 12 inch. But I'm putting a $1,000 cake on it. So I can work $10 into the price of a $1,000 cake. Because the last thing I want is the cake board to fail or look ugly or whatever, right? And wedding cakes are the things that get pinned the most, they get shared the most people can relate to, is a wedding cake. So if you're gonna spend your money on anything, it should be wedding cakes. If you're just making little $50, $100 cakes or whatever for just your every week orders, then do the 2 cardboard rounds glued together. Do that. That doesn't cost very much. It costs, like I said, $1.60. But the more expensive your cake is, the better your cake board better look. I'm telling you. So you could do this, or you can go to a craft store and you can buy foam core that is in big sheets like so, right? And it is in various thicknesses. I think that this cost me, foam core board, $3.49. I think that the thicker one, the 5/8 inch, I think it costs $7 for that foam core. Yes, I love that saying, Jay. People be stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. I can't spend $7 on a cake board because I'm going to lose $7, but they don't understand that it will make them more money because it makes their cakes look more professional and high-end. Like, people can't see past the end of their nose. All I can see is $5 that I have to spend right now. But if you could look past $5 that I have to spend right now and see that I will make twice as much because my cakes look more professional, like, I understand that's hard to accept that, but it's the truth. Listen to other professionals like Jay Qualls and Shannon Bond and Avalon Yarns and all of the people who are telling you to cover your cake boards. Yes, they get a little crazy, Jay, and get a little worked up, Jay. But I get worked up too, because it's passionate, you know, there's a reason why we get so worked up, is because it's such a simple concept. It's a simple concept, and for some reason people are so stubborn about it. Because I think maybe they feel embarrassed. They feel like, well, I don't cover my cake boards and I'm a good cake decorator. How dare you? It's like, dude, just put that away. You thinking that you know it all and already do everything right and can't learn anything from anybody is only going to keep you in exactly the spot that you are. If you want to stay right where you are and you want to stay with the clients that you have and you feel like you're a successful person, and by success, I usually mean making money. I'm sorry, I'm a business person. I think success equals money. I mean, obviously it means happiness. We're already happy. We're making cakes for a living. We're not talking about happiness. We're talking about your ability to pay your bills at the end of the day, or explain to your husband why you're working until 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, because you're making an income. It's that's what we're doing this for, aside from the enjoyment and doing what you want to do for a living, right? So back to this. You can take a foam core board, you can cut it out, and I just used a cake pan to trace this, and I cut it out, and you can do the same thing where you put the ribbon around the side, you can put the feet on the ends, and then you can cover this with fondant, or you can cover it with scrapbook paper. You can take a can of Bond stuff, like if you just hate rolling out fondant. Think this piece of scrapbook paper. This piece of scrapbook paper costs 39 cents. I can get this in any color, I can get it in any pattern, whatever I want, right? This cost me $4. It'll probably make, let's say, 50 cake boards. I don't even know, right? All I'm doing is I put the cake board in a box, so that I don't spray my table. And then you inhale the fumes. Right. So you can incorporate your cake board into whatever design that you're going for. This is going to take me a shit ton of time. It's going to take me a shit ton of time to draw this out, right? But it doesn't take me any time to spend 39 cents. Anyway, you get the idea. You can cover this in paper. You can use wrapping paper if you need really big sizes or whatever. And then you take contact paper, which is this stuff, which this was about, I think it was like $8 for 32 feet or something. You can get contact paper that has a pattern, but I believe it is Jess Jones. Yep, it's clear. Jess Jones has like a full tutorial on how to do this, much better than I am doing it right now. But it gives you the basic idea, which is that you put the contact paper over the regular paper, and then you trim off the excess, you put a ribbon around it, boom, done. But the point is there are plenty of options on how to cover your cake boards for a reasonable amount of money and a reasonable amount of work. And there's always shortcuts that you're going to feel like you want to take. So what I'm saying is, you know, think about what your shortcut is getting you. Nobody likes to cover their cake board. I don't want to cover my cake board. There's a lot of things that you can do to save yourself money. And I get the struggle of wanting to save money when you're, you know, starting out, but think about where you're saving your money at. Aside from just looks, there's no reason not to cover your cake board unless you just plain old don't want to. And if you just plain old don't want to, then there's nothing I can do to help you change your mind. Like I said, if you're a huge bakery and you're pumping out tons of buttercream cakes, and it's not cost effective for you to cover your cake boards because they're not customized, they're just get them out the door and get the bills paid cakes, then don't cover them, you know? But when you're making 1 or 2 cakes a week or a month, or you want to be known as a custom, you know, bakery who makes these cakes that are different than the cakes that you know, see at the grocery store, if you're trying to differentiate yourself, this is an extremely easy way to do that. It's very easy. And, you know, like, I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to. Like, why you wouldn't want to make your cake look better. Like, people want to buy tools, they want to buy cutters, they want to buy molds, they want to buy airbrushes, they want to buy all these things to make their cakes look better, but they don't want to cover the board. I don't understand. I just don't. Aside from that, it's a pain in the ass. I get that it's a pain in the ass. It is a pain in the ass. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, right? That's not a good reason. I can understand, but it's not a good reason, right? So that's it. This is my Periscope on why you should or shouldn't cover your cake boards. To be honest, if you don't cover your cake boards, it really doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect whether I make money. It doesn't affect whether I am successful. I don't really care to beat you over the head about it. But it will affect you. It affects you. And I just honestly want the newbie cake decorators out there to just have the most tools available to them and the most knowledge that's available to them to be able to make cakes that are going to help them stand out and make more money, because then I don't have to read about it in the groups about why, you know, their cakes are, you know, they can't get clients that are higher end, or, you know, why don't my cakes look like Shannon Bond's, you know? Yeah, covering your cake board is the difference between a $30 cake and a $100 cake. It can even be the difference between a $100 cake and a $1,000 cake, you know? Like, it's just the finishing, the finishing touches on things. And I get that you don't always know about these little things when you're a beginner, because how would you? And just know that when someone says, I can't stand to see a cake board not covered, or, oh my God, I saw a foil board that was not covered, that it's not a direct punch at you, and you are not your cakes. You're still a person, and it does sting a little bit if you are that person who is, just covering your board in tin foil or something, or that your foil board doesn't match the look of your rustic cake or something like that. It does sting a little bit, and I get that, but just take it as a helpful punch in the face. I mean, I wished for punches in the faces like that when I was a newbie, it's called constructive criticism. It's called constructive criticism, but you can't have constructive criticism without criticism. It hurts. Criticism hurts, but if you want to become a better cake decorator, you need to learn to take criticism and learn to become better if you want. If you want. You don't have to be better if you don't want to be. If you want to stay the same, be the same. Just leave my threads alone where I'm talking about how people can be better. Don't come into my thread and say, I don't need to cover my boards because nobody in my area can afford $1.60 added onto their cake. Bullshit. You just don't want to. That's fine. If you don't, I can't cover my boards because I don't have the time. I don't have 5 minutes to make my work look better and potentially get pinned more people and more likes on Facebook, because the more pins and the more likes you get, the more people in your area that are directly related to ordering cakes from you will see your posts. I don't have time for that. You do have time for that. You do. If you use foil, that's fine. I'm not putting you down. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that if you are not happy with where your cakes are and you're wondering why you can't get higher end clients and you want to be better, this is a very inexpensive way to do it. And I have not heard anybody who says, gee, I wish I would have never covered my cake board. All right, so I'm going to go now because I have actual cakes that I need to build, and it's going to take me a while. And I feel so much better. I feel so much better now that we've had this talk, right? And every time, I'm going to put this on YouTube, and everybody who starts a discussion about cake boards, I'm going to post this in the comment section, and then I will walk away, and I'm not going to engage because I've said everything that there needs to be said, but with emotion and inflection and examples. And if you would like more tutorials about cakes and whatever and how to do pretty much everything, you can become a sugar geek on www.sugargeekshow.com. If you subscribe to the premium level, it gets you access to all the cake tutorials. So it's not a buy one tutorial type of thing. It's a subscribe and you get all the tutorials, and I put new tutorials out every month. So far it seems to be doing pretty good, so it must be worth it. Okay, so we'll see you guys later. Yeah, bye.